Hello, welcome to Shad Life. I have a question for you. Do you check your tire pressure before each ride? And yes, very important for mountain biking, but I'm talking any type of biking. Do you check your tire pressure before each ride? I actually have a digital gauge and I check my tire pressure before each ride, and that's on all my bikes. So whether it's my gravel bike, my Fargo drop bar mountain bike, my BMX bike, my DJ bike, and most importantly my mountain bikes, I always check my tire pressure before each ride. It sounds like a pain in the butt, but it's super valuable to do so, and it's actually safer to do so. Not having the proper tire pressure on your bicycle, regardless of what type of bike it is unsafe. We'll start with too low of pressure. Too low of pressure, you can pinch flat easily. The tire will actually flex on the rim. So like if the tire flexes on the rim because it's too low, if you're running tubeless, you can actually break the bead, which will let more air out. It'll flex and cause you to wash out in turns, things like that. So that is one thing. You don't want it to be too low. And if you're riding in the street and your pressure is too low and you go over a crack or a pothole or something like that, it can more easily do damage to your rim, cause a pinch flat if you're running tubes, things like that. So another thing that it does, especially for riding in the street, it's lower rolling resistance if you have the proper tire pressure in there. If your tire pressure is low, you're adding a lot of resistance, a lot more effort to your ride. So very important to have proper tire pressure. If your tire pressure is too high, especially like on road bikes and things like that, you can actually blow a tire. So like you could hit a bump and it just causes too much of a pressure increase because the volume gets reduced inside the tire, and it can blow the tire off the rim, cause a blowout, which can cause you to crash, things like that. On mountain biking, if your tire pressure is too high, you lose a lot of traction. It's easier to slide out in turns, things like that. Just not ideal. And again, it's a harsher ride when you're going over bumps. The tire isn't doing you any good if it's super high pressure, things like that. So the bigger chances is that your tire pressure is too low, especially if you set your tire pressure and then you went and set your bike or let your bike sit around for a few days or a week, and then you get on it to go ride it. Your tires have probably lost air. This is the case with tubes or tubeless, doesn't matter. And as a matter of fact, I have tubeless bikes. All my bikes here are tubeless, and they hold air just fine. They don't lose air faster than a bike with tubes or anything like that. They're about the same. So, but I do check my tire pressure, and I usually find it, because maybe if my bike sits for 3 or 4 days, I'll find it a couple of PSI down from what I last set it at. And I want it to be where I ideally want my pressure. So that being said, there's a new tool out there that can help you. Wolf Tooth, one of my favorite companies. I love all their little components and things. That orange headset, that is Wolf Tooth. It is super rad. So is the seat clamp. But yeah, I love Wolf Tooth components, US made. But they have a new tire pressure calculator, and I'm going to put a link to that in the description. And get yourself a digital gauge, because the gauge on the pump isn't accurate. And I don't know of a single pump that has accurate tire pressures. So use that calculator. You put in your weight, you put in your wheel size, the volume tire, and so on, and it's pretty close. There's one thing I wish they would add to it, and that's maybe riding style or type of riding. I'm a bit more aggressive, and I like to jump a lot and things. So I run a couple of PSI more than what they recommend. because I don't want my tires squishing when I'm really pushing into the bike and things like that. But it's pretty close. It's within 2 to 3 psi to my liking. But start with their suggestion as your baseline. And then if it feels a little too soft, then add a couple psi. And when I say a couple psi, I literally mean like 2, 3 psi at the most. The mountain bike tires, their volume is high enough to where only a few psi makes a difference. Road bike tires, things like that, gravel bike tires, they're much smaller volume, so they're not as sensitive to that change. But these higher volume tires, you literally, the difference between, in my front, the difference between 21 and 23, I notice it. I totally notice it. If it's at 21, I can tell it's just right. If it's at 23, it feels too hard to me, right? And if you're curious, because somebody will probably ask, I run 24 in the rear, 21 in the front. So, and I'm around 200 pounds with my pack on and stuff. So use their gauge, check your tire pressure before each ride. That's what's that? PSA for today. I appreciate your support for my channel. Please like and subscribe. Peace.